And now, another edition of Tony Tolato on Sci-Fi Talk.
Kind of like Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings, the character I played. Remember him? But I remember an oldie but a goodie, folks.
Julian Sands is a creepy man.
Who is your master, Padawan? Someone I killed, perhaps?
Wow. Hey, that's great.
Appreciate it, I do. Yeah.
My guy, the Archangel Gabriel, is in... Wow, that was early.
What is most important is that Burnham forgives herself. Because as Burnham, I carry a tremendous amount of guilt and shame.
Well, my name is Alex Sahara. I played a Raven God Zales to Iron Shirt, the one-eyed Unas freaky leader, so Coca-Unash. Oman Coca-Unash.
Over there is sci-fi talk. Typical sci-fi talk behavior.
Special effects, and what's it like for you both to kind of act to things that aren't there?
Well, sometimes you have that experience anyway with people that are there.
Thanks, God. I'm not that bad.
In part because of the hopeful nature of Jean's vision, but also because of its message of diversity and inclusion.
Live long and prosper.
Hi, today on Sci-Fi Talk, I have Patrick Seitz, who voices once again Scorpion in Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. Let's go to the conversation. Great to talk to you about this. This is something the fans have been pining for years. This is your second time with Mortal Kombat, but okay, yeah, what's it like to dive right into this again?
It's I've been lucky to play him a number of times over the years, and it's always like putting on a comfy, familiar, blood-stained coat. To mangle the metaphor, it's great. Scorpion is he's very straightforward. He knows what he's about. He knows what he wants. A lot of people are going to get hurt in the process, which take it or leave it. But it's always nice going back to a character, real talk, after however long of an absence, and just getting right back into it. Because there's always that moment of like, maybe I've forgotten how to act. Maybe I've forgotten what the character's about. Maybe I'm just going to completely fall on my face this time. Imposter syndrome, yay. But then you get right back into it. You get back on that horse. You're like, oh yeah, Scorpion, that's the ticket. Good times.
Kind of following the lead of a recent Batman animated. It's R-rated, so this way the language can be a little more colorful. What's that like to kind of play off something like that? It kind of grounds it a little bit, I think.
It does. I mean, I feel like, especially with something like Mortal Kombat, where it has never, the game's shied away from violence. If you were to do sort of a super sanitized version of it, it would be weird. It would be, weird as a performer, weird as someone watching, or just be like, what are we doing here? There are buckets of animated blood, buckets of swears, so to speak. Not so much for Scorpion, just because he doesn't roll that way. He doesn't drop the F-bombs so much. Other characters are not shy about it. It's if you're gonna go there, go there. I mean, it's that sort of a thing. It's great when the stars align and let you take a franchise sort of where it wants to go. Because again, fighting it the whole time to try and get some broad milk toasty rating is just not. That's not Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's awesome. Have you ever played the game?
I have. I've played. I mean, even when I was a kid, playing the first couple before the thought of voice acting or ever getting to portray Scorpion was even a faint dream in my mind. I will admit, I'm not super good at fighting games. Memorizing combos is sort of not where my brain is at, and I'm sure as I get older too, my reflexes, put me up against a 16-year-old that knows the combos, and they're just gonna, wipe up the mat with me, I'm sure. But yeah. It's Mortal Kombat, having been around as long as it has. It's if you are a video game playing person, of a certain age or younger, it's part of the lexicon.
Yeah, I've actually played it, and it's I played as Scorpion more than a few times, and yes, I got it. It was the game where it was against the DC universe, and that was a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, that was actually my first one. That was a trip. Yeah.
Absolutely. You've done your share of anime as well. Do you approach voicing anime differently than you do something like this?
I mean, only insofar as that with anime, with the animation all done, you really are sort of constrained by, the timing and the lip flap that are pre-existing. It's tough, but I appreciate the challenge. I'm not super dexterous. I'm not one for like model building or anything, or figurine painting, the tiny little figurines that people do. But I look at it as that sort of pursuit of like, okay, everything is already what it is. It's got all these tiny little moving pieces that you have to adhere to. How do we make it sound? How do we make it sound natural? Because I never want to work on something, whether I'm acting it or directing it or doing the script, and I never want to be like, well, it was a dub, so we tried and we did our best, but it still seemed inherently unnatural in English. I'm like, there's always a way. There's, sometimes you got to get creative. But there's always a way to take that pre-existing animation and run with it and still make it yours. Mm-hmm. So to work on something like Scorpion's Revenge, where it was pre-lane, we were recording all the dialogue first, and then it was getting animated to that.
Right.
I've done less of that overall, looking at my careers numbers-wise, but it's always such a luxury by comparison because, you still have to, keep things moving and can't just sort of, pontificate and spin out a scene into nothingness. But it is super cool knowing that you're going to be able to do what's right for the character and right for the moment, right for the scene, and not be sort of straitjacketed by pre-existing animation, which again, I love that challenge, but every day it doesn't have to be a challenge. Sometimes you can show up to work and be like, oh, we can just do the thing. That's cool too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For this one, for Scorpion's Revenge, great voice cast. I mean, Joel McHale is perfectly cast to add the humor to it. My guess is you probably didn't all record together.
No, we recorded separately, which again, I mean, it puts so much of the pressure and the onus of the thing on the voice director. I feel like in this case was Wes Gleason, who I absolutely love, because they have to keep it all in mind and somehow, tease these performances out of us that when they shuffle it together like a deck of cards, they're like, oh no, that sounds like an actual conversation. They sound like they're actually talking to each other. That's a weird sort of alchemy, and it's magic when it works, and I don't know how it ever works, but it does, thankfully. No, he's great, and especially in a movie like this where there is so much fighting and violence. Just to have that character as a foil to all the seriousness is great, and I love that trope of actors in danger and not really realizing that's what's going on. There's literal Mortal Kombat happening around him. He's like, craft services. Hey, where can I get myself a latte? I'm just a sucker for that trope. I love that so much. I look at that and I'm like, wow, that's like every high maintenance actor I know in life, sort of distilled down into one character. That's great.
Yeah, and from what I've heard so far, Jennifer Carpenter as Sonya Blade is just amazing.
Yes, she takes no prisoners, so to speak.
That's great. Coming back to Scorpion, did he sort of feel a little more familiar this time around, or did you try to keep him a little fresher and add something different?
Kind of both. I mean, the familiarity just from having voiced him so many other times, and then I feel like the freshness and the sort of the new sort of tinges of nuance, just from the things that happened in the script that I wasn't expecting. I won't, get into for spoiler territory. Right. But it's really, I think that's what makes it fun and satisfying over the iterations is, you are, hitting some of those same beats each time because he's still the same guy, but with each new game's plot, or in this case, animated movie's plot, there are new things that you can explore, new facets you can look at and tease out. So you're always getting to do something familiar and something new, and it's kind of the best of both worlds.
What's coming up for you?
Oh man, isn't that the $64,000 question?
These days it is.
It's weird. I mean, life was chugging along full tilt. I was, nothing I can specifically mention, but I was doing some directing, had some projects, things were going, and then suddenly it was like, no, we're all gonna go home for a while, and thankfully everyone in my life is healthy and doing okay, and that just seems pretty lucky in and of itself. I know at some point we'll shake off the dust and I'll go back to work, and it'll be curious to see how all these different projects that, in theory, at least in my schedule, were sort of arranged one after the other, and we're all going to play nice together, scheduling wise. Is it going to be like the westward expansion? Is everyone going to be calling at once, going 40 acres and a mule? We're all going to do it at once. Like, it's but it's going to be something we all sort of have to navigate together. And I just hope that we're all glad to see each other and give our friends an awkward, overlong hug, and there's something comforting in knowing that even though this is unprecedented, we'll all be equally sort of naive as to how to handle it and get through it. No one's going to have the answers. No one's going to have the playbook. We're just going to go, we're going back to work. How does that work? How does merging on the freeway work? How does going to the movies work?
Yes, I know, it's very bizarre. And I live in New York City, and people ask me, what's it like? Is it crazy? And it's actually just the opposite. It's very quiet most of the time. And that's very unusual for this city. And, it's like, I mean, I don't hear any cars out there at all right now. I know there's some out there, but it's just very surreal. And we're all kind of dealing with it. Our vacation plans kind of went down the tubes, to be honest, and we're going to be here for unforeseeable.
I was going to go to Ireland for a convention.
Oh wow!
Wow! I think it was like early March where I reached out and was like, "Hey, is this still going to be a thing?" And they were like, "We're not sure if it's going to be a thing." And a couple days later, they're like, "Yeah, this is not going to be a thing." But it's it's at the beginning of March, end of February. I was at PAX East in Boston, just shaking hands with people and shoulder to shoulder, and everyone breathing on everyone like it was no big thing, which feels like it was 5 years ago now.
Yeah, it sure does. Really. Sure does. Yeah, I mean, I started the year actually going to see a couple of Broadway shows, and I was just, we were surrounded by people. So, this is a very strange time for all of us. But you hang in there, you stay safe, and yes, we will all get. We were hoping that you all get back to work and doing the things you do so well.
Yeah, well, you too, dude. I mean, you guys you're in the thick of it. Just stay well.
Absolutely. We're working on it day by day. I have never washed my hands as much as I have in the last month and a half. Trust me. Trust me. Well, thanks for being on the podcast. Godspeed, and again, stay well and healthy.
You too, Tony.
All right. And thank you all for listening to Sci-Fi Talk. Got to get Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge on DVD. Get the digital version, too. It's nice to have that on the laptop. All right. Take care, everyone.
Hello, I am C-3PO Human Cyborg Relations, and you are listening to Sci-Fi Talk.